You there?
What's up?
And here we are back again, another Thursday today. This weekend, the right day. We didn't miss it.
Yeah, I think we missed a day, didn't we? Oh no, it was the next day.
Yeah, there's some kind of problem streaming to one of our RTMP servers. I don't know what is that. I'll just remove it, and that's
Yeah,
it.
it's fine.
But anyway, topic of the day is
Gear for beginner photographers.
do you have a name? Or do you don't need to be introduced anymore? We're famous now, aren't we?
Oh, you mean my name?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey, this is Versace.
Okay, he just forgot he has a lower third with his name. So my name is Alex Costa with Versace Studios International.
God, you're killing me today. I'm all off.
Yeah, I'm always killing you.
There.
And we have a special guest for you today.
Yes,
So-
we do.
We're gonna talk about gear for beginners. We're gonna roll the intro and we come back with our guest. Yeah, oldie but goldie. I love that intro. That's why I never change it.
That's a nice intro. I enjoyed it.
No. Go room.
Everybody, this is Brian. So before we get all started in here, why don't you tell everybody about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Brian. First, I want to thank you all for having me on the show. Appreciate it. I'm a photojournalist, but I currently do video for a network here in South Florida. I've worked
Miami.
for Miami. I've worked for several newspapers, and I still do freelance work for several newspapers and publications. And my full-time job, as I said, is to do mostly video edits and produce for a local TV network. So that's where most of my time is being consumed now in video. But photography is like my first love. It's my passion. So I try to do as many assignments as I can as they come.
Awesome.
And Brian is also a fellow streamer
I
on
am.
the other platform. And the
Yeah,
other platform.
we won't say any names, but on the other
Oh, we
platform.
can say
Yeah.
the name.
Go ahead, say it.
Oh, I'm on Twitch.
good?
Usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I try to do as many streams as I can. But that's like my consistent schedule.
So just remember me is Cerejo Media at
Yeah.
Twitch.
Yeah, twitch.tv/Cerejo Media.
Nice. He's gonna put it in the lower.
I appreciate that.
So that's Brian's Twitch. And it's really cool. Brian
Thank you.
was one of the first guys I really watched on Twitch and kind of moved me to just set up the whole stuff and start to edit on Twitch.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't play with
Just
Twitch.
to go.
It's too complicated.
It's actually cool. It's actually cool.
Once you figure it out, I think it's an awesome platform, as is YouTube, but that's kind of where I've been for the past couple of years, like seeing that, like that's where I'm consuming the most. So I figured I'd just do it there, but it's really up to preference.
But you started
I'm
there
sure it's good.
for gaming, or just you already started doing only photography?
No, I enjoy video games, but I actually was consuming video game content. Some of my friends are on there, so I really wanted to support them. But I've seen over the years, I've seen the platform expand, and so we're now getting a lot more people doing art tutorials, video, photography, all different types of editing on there. And I think it's cool because especially now, I think one of the one of the positives in this whole scenario of a global pandemic, if we can think of positives, is that, you know, some industries such as like everything virtual and digital has created new opportunities in a way. And I think different platforms, like we're all stuck at home. What do people do? They consume information. So platforms like Twitch, where people can create their own content, have really seen growth. And I think that since we're stuck at home, we think, well, how can I use my time wisely? How can I take my passions such as photography and video and use them? And one of them is to stream and to do these type of shows like the one we're doing here today. So really, it's really helped expand what is broadcasted on that platform and many other platforms. So it's cool that we're now all doing it there and we're all learning. And so now when I'm working from home, I have Twitch on and I'm learning Photoshop, doing different things while I'm also doing my work. So it's like a win-win situation in that sense.
Yeah, totally. And, you know, like now we're talking about beginner's gear. Mm-hmm. So when you started, I don't know if you're like me, but you had gear acquisition syndrome, right?
Well, personally, I did not, because I was when I started into this whole photo world, I was a high school student that was just curious. And shout out to my grandma who trusted me. And yeah, like you gotta give credit where it's due. So we went to a local shop and she bought me a camera with full faith that I was gonna do something with it. It was a Nikon D5000. I still remember the model. And it came with the kit lenses, so the 18-55 and what was it, the one that goes up to the 55 to 200. And these are variable aperture lenses where, you know, they go from
2.5 to 5.
Yeah, exactly.
5.6.
And so you can take beautiful photos with it, though. You know, I was using it for sports, and my introduction to photography was I would go photograph my local football games. American football, and I would see that like my pictures during the day were perfect. At night everything was blurry, and I didn't know why. And it turns out that, you know, because I had my camera set on automatic, because I didn't know what I was doing. Once nighttime came, your shutter speed started to take a hit.
Slow down.
Yeah. So I started to Google, like, why is my night photography, or why is my sports photography so bad? And it turns out that I had to now learn how to use my camera in manual. Now I'm using this lens at 5.6 or 6.3 or whatever it is in terms of aperture. And I had to pump up my ISO to God knows what, like 12,000 or something. And your camera, a beginning camera, can't take ISO 12,000 at that time. Now, you know, Sony's and Canon, the mirrorless can do ISO well. At the time, it couldn't. So now I had nice stable shots, but they're super grainy, so I couldn't use any of them either. So I digress. But yeah, I started with the D5000, the kit lenses, and I made it work until I was able to upgrade to the more pro lenses, which I'm sure we'll go into.
Sure.
Yeah, gas is a big problem, because I think apart from you, every beginner have it, and I still have it. And Rom knows it. Every
he
week,
only
Rom
bought like a bunch of crap
money.
that I showed him.
He keeps saying, "Stop spending money, and I just can't. My credit card is like blowing up of so much gear on it.
It's bad.
Well,
like, I need to go to Brazil and slap him behind the head every now and then.
Well, I think it was backwards for me in that now I get, like, before we came on, I was talking about like how I'm looking to buy the 85mm. I've switched camera systems. I just bought Adorama here in the United States had I don't know if they ship internationally, but they had all these discounts on their off-camera flashes. So I went ham, bought all the modifiers, bought all the off-camera flashes. So I think the more I've learned, the more of a gear acquisition syndrome, as you put it, I've acquired.
Yeah, it's called gas.
You don't need to feel bad about it, because that dude had more gear than both of us together, and maybe all the Discord forum together. You know, he had so much stuff. He showed me pictures of it.
I had $190,000 worth of gear.
Was it all insured?
Nope.
Oh, that I mean,
Hurricane Katrina. Well, let me say I had insurance.
Okay.
But flood insurance said it was the wind, and hurricane insurance said it was the water. So both of them said we ain't paid.
Wow.
You never told me that.
I haven't told anybody that, but yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's
yeah.
really bad.
So it sucks. So what I did, and it was good because it was, I mean, I've collected gear since 97. So it's not like I collected this overnight. Okay. But the thing that I try to tell beginners is that all you need is a camera and a reflector to start with.
Look who is there. We have Herberty from Japan.
Hey.
I'm already mixing Portuguese and English. Hi, Herbert. How are you, man? Thanks for watching, dude.
And, you know, so I tell them all you need to start off with is a camera and a reflector. Get used to seeing the light. Get used to using a reflector to get reflection off the light. And you can do a lot just with those two. I said, if you have to buy a light, don't go with just a speed light. Because that's really, I mean, honestly, how many times have you ever touched a speed light recently?
No, I rather, well, it depends. Like for my photojournalism work, sometimes you just need the quick pop and you're running and gunning type situations. Right. But honestly, for the price of what speed lights, like I remember getting my Nikon SB910 and it costs more than my off-camera flash that can put out more light, you know? So I think it depends on the situation you're in, but for the most part, if you have, you know, the time and the space, I would go off-camera flash. And the technology now, one, it's cheap, right? So I got these lights for, relatively speaking, you know, again, they're cheaper than some speed lights. I got them for $300, and you can already start shooting as a beginner if you learn how to use that light, doing the commercial like portraits at the local law firm. I got the it's rebranded, but it's essentially the Godox 8300 Pro.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a flash point because it's Adorama, but I got two of those so that I could have my key light, the rim light, and then boom.
And that's the 8600, right?
The 300.
Or did you get the 300?
I got the 300. Okay. Yeah, it's smaller and more compact. I could throw it in my backpack and
like I say,
feel so bad. I just feel so bad when I talk to people in the US.
Why?
Because of the prices. I just can't. It's 10 times more expensive here.
So, right? So technically, like I tell people, I say, if you could save the money, you know, if you really want an off-camera flash, get one that has an ecosystem. That's my thing. And Godox, Flashpoint, same brand. They have a full ecosystem now. I mean, they got the ring light. They got they got everything, every light, and they all go to one controller, which is the best part. And
that's what I think is amazing.
Some people are like, well, I can't really afford that. And I'm saying, well, if you can't afford that, then you ain't ready for it. That's my take on it.
If you try to go another route, you're going to end up like me. I have like 4 monolights, 4 speed lights, and each one has a different radio system. And every time I need to use them, it's a mess.
Or you have to buy an expensive radio system. You know, I mean, mind you, Godox does have the receivers for other flashes. So you can still control with that one controller other flashes with their.
Well, you can trigger. You can trigger. You cannot control. You can trigger, but you cannot change the power of the flash. If you have monolights,
that's false. You can if it has the TTL on it.
TTL mode, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
any TTL flash? Any TTL? If I put on my Canon's speed lights, it's gonna work.
They now have it where it works on basically everything. Their new update firmware actually allows it to do different types. Like I could put a Sony, like I could use my transceiver, put it on the Sony, and it still works.
I will say, if for people getting into photography, I think the first thing before you even buy into your first camera or whatever is just knowing that after that first purchase, everything is going to be expensive, right? And it's not only wherever you're at. It's like it's an expensive. If you're doing it as a hobby, it's a super expensive hobby. If you're doing it as a professional, it's an expensive investment. But you're still got to make that upfront investment. And talking about lights, Godox has made it, I think, extremely accessible and much cheaper, because the alternative would be cheaper products of lower quality, or you would be like going to Profoto, which is, I'm a professional, and I did my research because I was like, I could, for the cost of one B10, which is the Profoto equivalent of the AD300, I can buy like 5 AD300s, and they essentially, is the build quality a little bit better? Does it have an extra mode here or there? Sure. But, how much am I really going to be using these lights to come up with like justifying this big purchase? And that's, since we're talking about beginning gear, it's like, well, what's the gear that's going to make me the money for the type of photography I want to do? I think that's the most important.
Hey Jay, Jay's here on Twitch. The guys from Twitch are coming.
Nice.
That's cool. So yeah,
that's really cool.
And I try to tell them that, and a lot of them don't believe you. But it's like, you do realize that I could take a picture with a reflector and do just as good as I can with a flash. The only thing I use flash for is if there's motion and I need to stop it. That's really all flash is needed for, or if I wanted to dramatically change the background light. So I want a high power light that I can make it so the square law rule takes effect, and then I won't be able to see the background and it'd be dark.
That's overpowering the sun, and you cannot do with a speed light, AD200. You need to push the line.
Exactly. And, I get it. There's a lot of new people out there that want to do these, I don't know why, but they want to do these blown out. No, they want to do that blown out white sky around them. Look, that real light and airy, right?
Oh, the dreamy light, the dreamy look.
The dreamy look. And you don't need a flash. If you want to do dreamy look, just use a reflector. It's going to automatically make that back blown out because you're
still talking
metering for the face.
Still talking about gas. There are several levels of gas, because when you start and you get your first camera, you have a cropped camera. Let's get the really bottom level here. And
T100?
You think you need a full frame camera. You have a T100. You think you need a full frame camera. The full frame camera will not satisfy you. Then you start to buy L series lenses. Then at some point you discover light. And then your life is destroyed, because you're going to buy so many lights. Many. You always want one more light.
But here's the thing. Lights are just as important as glass.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. Would you agree, Brian?
Yeah. I think, glass, again, I think
glass is number one.
Yeah, I would put glass number one, just because, you can control so much more with the glass. And I always look at photography as my business, and going back to the order of priorities and how we make our purchases. I always think, what's going to make me, like, if I'm going to spend $600 on a lens now, like, is this like gonna make how long or how many shoots is it gonna take me to make back the 600 and then start making a profit? If that makes sense. The same thing when I purchase lights. Like, what am I going to use these lights for? Can I make money using these lights? And I think my whole way of looking at gear and stuff is like, it's my business. So how am I going to make this money back? For me personally, lenses was going to be that way of like, how was I going to make my return on investment first? Now, if you want to go into like the corporate world or like you want to do headshots, maybe you need like one good glass that's going to get you most of your portraits, and then you need lights for sure,
70 to 200.
Yeah. Well, then you're putting 2,500 up right away. and
see, level 2 is the same as level 3. They just say it's a color.
Well,
Jay's saying that when a new photographer asks for camera recommendations, I also emphasize investing in lens ecosystem more than focusing on the body. Yeah. Because the body gets old, gets obsolete. The lenses, not so much.
See, I teach a lot of kids too, and most of the kids that I see have a T2, T4, T100, T6, T7.
Don't talk bad about.
It's all the crops.
It's here.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, they all complain about it. Oh, it's not clear enough, or oh, it's not this. But then when I slap on a Sigma, 50 with a Sigma Art 50 on there, they're like, oh, that does make a difference. I'm like, yeah. I said, your glass is what makes a difference. It's not the matter of, when you got a kit lens, it's a kit lens for a reason. It's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
It costs them like nickels compared to what you want. And, it's like when I tell people when they go to buy a camera, just buy the body. Honestly, don't get the kits because it's kind of a waste. There's really nothing to a kit. You're going to end up throwing that kit lens out anyway. I mean, I don't think
something, at least here, I don't know how it's there. It's something that you cannot sell. It doesn't give you any money back. Mm-hmm. If you compare to L series lenses, L series lenses here, they don't lose value. The price doesn't drop down. So I just bought 17 to 400 f4. Mm-hmm. I can sell it for much more money than how much I paid because the dollar just went up.
Yeah. See, Jay says better off at a body and Nifty 50. I hate the Nifty 50, to be honest with you. I'm not an STM 50 suck. I mean, honestly, I don't like the edging. I don't like any of it. Now, I don't know, I guess for street, Nifty 50 is okay. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
right.
Yeah, if you're looking to have fun with in street photography, then sure. I think, thinking of I like the 35-85 combo personally. If I'm gonna go do any type of work, I think the 85 is good for your details, portraits, so on and so forth. The 35 for your wide shots, and you do street. Actually, because we're gonna talk about gear, this is my only non-Sony thing. It's a Fuji X100F.
X100.
Yeah, and it has a 23, which on a crop sensor is a 35, give or take. Right. But that's my play camera. That's my street photography camera. Everything else is things that for assignment work, it's mostly the 24 to 70, 70 to 200. I'm covered all the way from 24 to 200 at a 2.8. That's like those are my workhorses. Everything else is, either very specific, like the 85 is mostly my portrait lens and so on and so forth. I don't have a 50 and I don't really enjoy the 50 range either, but I do understand its importance.
Rom, fix your camera. You're blinking.
Well, I accidentally kicked the wire.
I was about to say what Jay just said. The Nifty 50 is the cheapest lens that really worth for a beginner. The beginner will not start with 85 because the 85 is too expensive. So.
But you know what? You can easily get a G2 2470 by Why did I have
24/7?
No.
2470? I cannot pay for
24/7.
that. Even the first version right now.
Yeah, but
No.
I think what the Tamron, the Sigma,
Tamron.
Yeah.
I don't know why the hell my brain just wasn't working. But Tamron's 2470 G2 is freaking amazing. That's what I have. And I love it. It's clear. It definitely can be blown up huge and you won't have to worry about a problem. And, you know, and that's an actual cheaper of the 2470s, but it's phenomenal in glass. And then I also used to use a 7200 from the same brand, and their G2 and that was really good too. Their G1 is good too. The only problem is if you want the firmware update to put it on the EOS 5 or the Mark 5 or higher or newer, you have to send it in for them to bring you the firmware. So it's kind of a waste unless you have a Mark 3 or a Sony A7. And that's the problem with the older glass. I mean, you can still manual focus, but a lot of beginners don't do that.
Yeah, I think there's there's levels to the conversation in that the 50 will take care of a lot of things, but if you're I think the workhorse and the first lens I bought into professionally was definitely the 24-70. I was fortunate enough to be able to save up and I got the Nikon 24-70, which was my workhorse for 7 years until I ended up selling it. And even when I sold it, it had maintained, it was the first version of it, and it had maintained the value, first, not the first version of it, but so it had maintained its value. And so that's another important thing when you're thinking about, I mean, you're never going to make your money back when you're reselling gear, but some of these lenses like the 24-70 that's so sought out, these things do hold their value, whereas the camera, as Jay was said and you all said earlier, doesn't necessarily, because now I bought my cameras a year ago. They're outdated now because a year later Sony came out with the A7 IIIA, the A7 R4. They kept the same number. They just added an A after it, and it already outdated my cameras. So again, like when I'm thinking about this, like I buy the cameras at the time I need them. I use them for a few years, but really my glass, if I take care of it, it's going to last me how many every years that I need it for. So,
yep. And I got a D70 right there. If you want to talk about, I use it for students, but the D70 is a great learning camera for anyone that has kids. I have a lot of kids, and most parents are like, well, what can I get that's like less than $300 or $200? Because it seems like everything's expensive. And I'm like, get one of those. I said, that's all they need for the beginning. I said, and then if they like it, they can grow into it.
Right.
I mean,
I started with a T4i, and I really thought that a full frame camera going to fix my pictures. My pictures are bad because I need a full frame camera. I bought a 5D Mark II. Use it. I spent so much money on that camera. Okay, it's still here. Still working. Doing its job. It's not a bad camera, but it didn't solve anything. My pictures were still really bad.
Still got to know the triangle function or the diamond function.
In my case, the diamond, because I don't do natural. I almost don't do natural.
I came up with a diamond function, which is you got your regular exposure triangle, right? But then when you add flash, you add a whole nother triangle. So because of diamond, right?
Shout out to Mark.
Who?
Mark. Shout out to Mark.
Who?
Mark. Okay.
I don't know who you're talking about. The one that copied us. We did a show. We did a show. A week later, he added up there. It's like, really, dude?
Using
the only person that ever calls it a diamond. I'm the only person that ever calls it a diamond. So yeah, I thought that was funny. But anyway, I digress. I don't care. Copying is flattery. That's how I look at it. But But yeah, dude, it's like when they learn, first you want to learn how to get proper exposure in regular sunlight. Like I always tell people, learn the sunny 16 rule, cloudy 11, right? Learn all that stuff, get used to it. That way, when you look up in the sky, you see it's partly cloudy. You're like, okay, hey, I can be at F11. And then, match your ISO with your freaking camera lens and shutter speed. So once you get those two together, you just flap it to F11 or F16 if it's a clear day and shoot. And it's going to be on point because that's what it is, right? Now, I kind of have to say that's kind of changed now that they have digital, because I find F11 works better nowadays. Do you?
Man, to be honest, as you're having, as you're talking about this, I find it funny that, we really focus on, like, when we're learning, it's like super manual, like we're going, like I was saying, like, but then once you've learned and like, how things like are affected and they change,
you don't think about it.
Not only do you not think about it, but like a lot of times on assignment, when I'm in like moving conditions, I slap it on aperture mode. I keep it at 2.8.
AV.
Yeah. I keep it at aperture mode at 2.8, and I don't think it makes me any less professional.
Depending on the speed, I'll do TV if it's fast.
Right. If you're focusing, like if I'm shooting a car or something, I'm gonna be worried about the shutter speed. But if I'm like let's say I'm out on assignment for the newspaper and like there's I don't know, like an event where it's mostly happening outside, and then I'm quickly going into like following a politician or whomever into the building, like you don't have enough time because they're walking and stuff. So I'll put it on aperture priority. I'll just make sure I hold steady in case I drop down below my lens. If I'm shooting with a 24, but
you could easily raise it to like ISO 400 and run it.
Right. Exactly.
And it'll never go below your whatever focal length you got on there.
Exactly. But it just goes back to knowing, to the beginning of your argument is knowing like where you're at, knowing how those settings affect it, and then you can start cheating in a way once you know those rules.
Well, it's called using the tool.
You said something very important there. You just cut it off, but I'll finish. It doesn't make it. You don't feel it doesn't make you less professional. Of course, it doesn't. It doesn't make you less professional because you know your stuff. If you need to do it on manual, you know how to do it. You're not doing that because you don't have any other options. You're doing that to be fast. Sorry, Rome.
No, that's fine. Because where was I going? My train of thought.
That's why I'm asking you. Sorry.
You the last thing you said was like changing up the ISO, knowing the settings.
Yeah. Because knowing all the basics, which is how it all works together, you'll be able to make those judgment calls of, can I use this tool in AV mode? But in AV mode, you know what you can control and you know where you need to be. So then you know how to change the ISO to reach whatever you need. But see, again, that's where, understanding that immediate exposure triangle makes it faster, like what we do. I've used AV mode all the time. When I'm doing boudoir, I love putting them in front of a window, put it in AV mode and shoot their highlight. Why? Because the highlight is not white when I take the shot. It actually keeps it in color. So that's why AV mode with the metering coming off of the highlight always seems to work. And, but understanding that through trial and error, that's how you learn that. But also understanding that when you got that exposure triangle and you understand how ISO, shutter speed, and aperture work, then you're going to be like, okay, well, now I know what reciprocals are. That's a huge one that I keep telling beginners they need to learn is reciprocal exposures. Because say you go from a light to a medium dark room, you got to switch the ISO. Well, what else do you have to switch?
Jay is just saying that setting your cruise control in your car doesn't mean you don't know how to use the pedals. That's the point. That's exactly the point. If you know it, you never make it less professional. You're just using the tools at your disposal to get your shot.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not the I could put it on there and it works every time. See, that's the thing. Like, we have beginners that think that they could just throw it in the auto mode and I could shoot it and edit it later.
No.
Well, every time, you know what I'm talking about, though. They're out there. And it's like, no, if you put it in auto, you're going to have to edit every single photo that you take. It's not, you're not just going to shoot it and then it's done.
Well, I think you want most of your work to be done in camera. And then, keep like the post to a minimum if you can. Like, some instances, you can. But I think, this conversation that we're having, when I started learning about photography, all of it seemed very daunting. Like, oh, there's ISO, there's an aperture, there's a shutter speed. So all these different things, like, you start reading about it. But really, I think, as you just said, the best practice is getting a camera in your hands and like testing what each one does, going out to photograph. When you don't get something right, man, now, I think it's so easy to learn this craft, at least the basics of this craft, in terms of there's so many YouTube videos, there's people talking about camera gear for beginners on YouTube and so on and so forth.
See, now, I don't want to get into like full name brands. Now, I will say Godox by far, if you're going to get into some type of lighting, that is the one that I personally use.
Okay, there is no live stream without Rome talking about gray cards and Godox, because this is impossible here. Bring the gray card, please.
Seriously.
What is the gray card?
I got it.
Nice.
Gray card.
So yeah, and this is $7. I mean, come on, people. $7. You can't live without this. I'll be honest with you. You don't need a $300 meter. This is a meter.
Trying to look for mine. I don't know where is it. I don't use it in like.
So, and people hate me for saying that, but you know what? Every camera is different.
Mm-hmm.
Every single manufacturer, their sensor does something different, but they're all registered off of 18% gray. So
we actually tried that with my camera. Remember that?
Yep.
I got my light meter, and we tried how we did that. We changed the aperture or the ISO. I don't remember anymore. But we take several readings, changing the settings.
We did both.
And at some part of the range, it just didn't match the exposure anymore. In some part of the range of the ISO and changing apertures simply didn't get to the right exposure, and the gray card is always.
And before anyone asked, it was calibrated. Supposedly,
it was. Supposedly, it was.
So that goes to show you that every camera is different, and that the light meter is not going to do the 18% gray like a gray card will. See, the 18% gray card, that camera sees 18%. And each sensor sees 18% different, right? Because each one has a CMOS or each different sensor. So now that gray card is 18% gray. So that camera will see that color and utilize that color. And then you see in the histogram, you'll see that center spike. And when it's dead center, you're 18% gray. It's middle gray. And
so
oh man, you have no idea. That's like 15 years of yelling at people. I'm like, no, you're wrong. I'm like, I'll prove it to you. I mean, just take a meter and try it. Use two different cameras, you'll get two different readings. It's crazy. But again, that's $7. And for a beginner, that's one way of making sure you have proper exposure. And, I think we have a video on that, but it's like, I want you to learn, like, I want beginners to learn the beginning stuff, because I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Your first 10,000 shots are going to suck. It's just a fact. All three of us could probably agree with that, right? Mm-hmm. First 10,000 shots are just your worst. There's literally nothing better than after those first 10,000. And because I remember my first 10,000, I thought I was badass son of a bitch on town. I was just like, hell yeah, dude, he's a badass. And then I go look at him and I'm like, yeah, no. I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
I think
Can I
that's
bring
a cool
Brian
thing.
Instagram?
I think that's a cool thing of photography that, like, yeah, your first 10,000 are probably not the best, but you're like the next 10,000 are going to be better, and then the next 10,000 are going to be better. And my favorite all-time photography quote is, you know, my best image is the next one I'm going to take, because you just constantly improve in this craft. And like, I'm sure, you know, for people such as yourself that's been doing this for more than 20 years, like, you'll probably still make an image that you're like, dang, like this one's nice, and then you'll make another one, it's like, damn, this one's nicer, and like every day you grow. And that's personally one of the things that I love the most about this craft, about this profession, is that there's always like growth. You never hit like the perfection part of this, you know. There's always a better way of doing something. And so
I want to bring your Instagram. Do you mind?
No, go ahead.
Because I was already running here and I saw.
I've been so bad during 2020 of keeping it updated because I didn't get out that much. But yeah, you
did a lot of sport.
Yeah.
A lot.
It's mostly
Wait, love this picture.
That's actually with the Westcott Ice Light. Which now there's at the time, you know, at Syracuse, we were pretty spoiled in terms of camera gear. We had every camera and light under the sun. We had Profoto, but now I use the Young Newell YN 360s, and they're like $80, and they do. I personally think they do the same exact thing.
I agree.
I saw some other picture here that I need to show.
See, I mean, Young Now and Godox, what is it, 800s or 600s? They're like the same.
Hey, Brazil. Actually, all of that is from Brazil, I think. All that set.
Yep.
So, yeah, like speedlights are speedlights. They're 75 watts. I mean, you're only going to get so much out of them. And again, that's where I talk about the ecosystem, you know, saying if you're going to get speedlights, get the ones that go together.
Oh, maybe.
Right. Yeah, that's when they played here in Miami, and he was at Barcelona.
Is that where that sun comes through the top of the stadium?
Yeah. I was waiting. See, you know, going back to your discussion, you know, when you're on assignment, I personally I get the newspaper shots, like the things I know are gonna run, and then I try to get creative just to have fun. And I saw that this you know, string of light was coming down through the roof. I'm like, it'd be awesome if either Messi or Neymar run through this light, and I'm exposing for the highlight in this case, so I can I could get the player shining, and then I get the background in the shadows. And this is obviously done in manual, but I think it could have come out the same in aperture mode. But you know, I'm exposing for the highlight. I'm looking at the meter inside my camera. I know I'm exposing right. And so when he's coming through, I'm just waiting. And I just, you know, spray as he's running.
Show me the money.
Yeah.
Come on. No, I know all about that. Good. See, I need to come back to Florida, man. I told my wife we got to move back.
You were there back in the end of the year, weren't you?
Dude, I go to Florida like all the time.
Yeah, so this is runway stuff. Honestly, man,
models are.
Yeah, honestly, you know, it's hard to make it as a freelance newspaper photographer. I think of today's ecosystem and the jobs.
Newspapers are leaving.
Yeah, the staff jobs are fewer and fewer. But one thing that I love about my newspaper gigs was that you get to travel. Like, I learned about Miami in a way I hadn't growing up, because you just gain so much access to different events and people and places. And I think, you know, it's definitely one of the greatest things. And if you're just starting out in photography, think about the places that you can have access to now, and you can start making fun and creative images. Because yeah, you can make nice stuff around your house, but if you get in front of interesting things, it's just one step closer to making an interesting image. Is the way I see it.
I think Jay just realized that it's you here.
Oh, it's totally fine. No, it's totally fine.
But yeah, so I mean, what's cool about it is like, like being in Florida, you got a lot better weather year round compared to everybody else.
That's true.
You in California are the two basically best scenario weather, except for hurricane season.
Yeah.
And I know what you mean by getting access being in the newspaper. Like I remember I was on the ground floor, right there on field with New Orleans Saints.
Right.
I mean, you kind of picture these 6 foot, 7 foot dudes that are giants, and you're sitting there with a camera going, "What's up, dude? Still run me over."
Yeah.
And I mean, getting into events like boxing events, getting into basically any event, as long as you're with the press, they were like, "Yeah, dude, come on."
Absolutely.
And it was cool. And I mean, I didn't do it to get in for free. I mean, I got in it to get the shots, but at the same time, it's cool that you are able to get in with a press pass and be able to park right next to the door, usually.
Absolutely.
So, and I still tell people for a high school job, dude, that's like a killer job. I mean, it's better than flipping burgers at McDonald's.
Yeah, if it's I think one of the things I was very fortunate of was to find my passion in photography early on. So I just entailed and started working towards my goal of becoming a better photographer, and I'm still working at that, right? So I think if photography is your passion, and now that I'm not doing photography as a full-time job, but rather as a freelance stuff, like when I get called, I feel like I'm rusty because I haven't picked up a camera in like, I don't know, a couple months. And so it's something that you're continuously practicing and working on. And if you don't do it every day, even if it's with your cell phone, like you start losing your eye, you start losing the way you see the world. And I think it's so important that if people get nothing else from today is that, keep making pictures and keep training your eye, even if it's with your phone, even if it's with your $300 camera, it doesn't matter. Just make an image, like look around the frame, look at the edges of your frame, expose right, and just make an image so that you're practicing.
I got an exercise that I do with a lot of beginners and a lot of the students. I had this thing that once a week they had to take 25 shots standing in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
They don't realize that there's more than 25 pictures just in one spot. You got close-ups, far away, you got angles, everything. You can take 25 pictures in one location. Just standing there, you can get 25 completely different looks. And that's a challenge I give basically everyone, even people watching right now. Try taking 25 shots, go to anywhere, just stop and try to take 25 shots in that one spot.
Absolutely.
I guarantee you can do it, but it makes you so you have to think. And for beginners, that's one really good exercise is, can I take 25 pictures right here in this one spot?
And it's funny because it's funny you say 25. I don't know what the deal is with that number, but I had a photography professor that if we're going into photojournalism, we're interacting with people all the time. And our first assignment in the introductory photojournalism class was we had to go to a public place and ask 25 random people to make their portraits. And it's uncomfortable because you're just going up to people with your cameras like, hey, I need to take your picture. But you really, after doing that 25 times, it gets much easier to talk to people. And it's like, hey.
the thing is 25 is the amount of repetitions you need to do to feel comfortable.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So that's why you always hear a lot of 25 here, 25 there, 25 here. Is because your mind starts to get function. Just like if you try to break a habit, try doing it for 25 days. Interesting.
I didn't know 25 was a special number like that.
Yeah, sometimes it's 30, but 25.
I know 21 is how many times you need to get a new habit. Like if you want to wake up at 5, the first 21 days you'll be really bad, and then it starts to get easy.
Okay.
Yeah, the mind's crazy how it works. Yeah, it's funny that almost seems like the church, the cathedral in New Orleans.
A lot of these images are actually, most of the images I took in Brazil were with my phone, because I took a 810 and I think I had the 50. I took a 50, the nifty 50, and my roommate who was Brazilian, he's like, man, like if you go out, you just have to be a little bit more careful. And
that's what he told me.
Yeah. So I was, they built in all this fear, which I didn't feel when I was out in the streets. Like I felt safe most of the time. And so I wish I would have been more, I wish that fear wouldn't have been instilled, because I would have taken my camera a lot more. So a lot of these images, a lot of these images were taken all with my phone, which goes to, show that yes, gear makes a difference, but the best gear is the one you have sometimes. And so a lot of these images are all taken with my iPhone, when I was out there, especially.
My wife is here for 4 years, and she was already robbed twice. They took her phone twice. And one of the times, the guy, I'm still looking for the dude. I find him. He punched her in the face.
Wow. I'm sorry.
This is the Estação da Luz.
Yeah.
Train station,
Yeah, so all these images are, and if you didn't know, there's metering on your phone. Like you can change the exposure on it by sliding up and down. So
do you have an app?
No, I just
use cotton candy here, okay? In the beach, under 40 Celsius degrees.
Yeah, so a lot of these snaps are street photography snaps with my phone, but I use the built-in camera app. I don't use a special camera app for it.
See, I got one. It's called 645 Pro. It's actually really good on the iPhone.
Okay, I'll look it up. Right
FV5.
Yeah, I think
I have one.
That's the same one, I think. It's just on iPhone, they call it 645 Pro.
645 Pro.
A lot of the students that I have, they all got just phones. So I get that one because you can do everything you do with a regular camera. So they're able to at least learn the basics. Right. So
I have the camera FV5. FV-5.
Yeah. FV-5 is the one you want for an Android.
-5.
Yeah, you'll enjoy that one.
Nice. So I wish I would have had my Fuji. I think it's a little bit less
dude,
crazy.
I'll be honest with you. Fuji and Olympus make a great camera for like going to travel places.
Yeah.
The Olympus, what, OMD5?
I'm not familiar with the Olympus line, but
yeah. So, but those are, I mean, they're small, tiny cameras. I mean, you can't even tell you got them, but they take great pictures.
Almost the same shot, same building, but I did it with a 24 millimeter, so I was a bit back, and I got the entrance of the building in the shot. But it's almost exactly the same shot.
Nice, yeah. I mean, I think to do street photography, if you take the danger out a little bit of it, the center of Sao Paulo is a beautiful place to be able, places. And the lights through the streets are amazing too.
I haven't been there yet.
Oh, you got to visit. And yeah, like Alex said, there's so many beautiful places there and beautiful people to photograph.
First, I want to buy my mansion in Miami.
Hey, the housing market here is getting crazy.
Yeah, I know.
So
you got a bunch of New Yorkers and Californians moved over there.
yeah, we're being flooded, but I mean, it's good if you have a house and you want the.
I mean, I'm not saying there's something bad about California, New York. I'm just saying it's a flood of people that have expensive homes moving to a lesser expensive place,
or just buying up properties for business, which is what I'd be doing if I had the capital.
Yeah,
but most of my capital goes towards camera gear, so.
Oh, trust me, I feel you there. I think me and him combined must have done about $100,000 worth of gear.
Wow.
Already.
I mean, lenses,
we're doing this live streaming stuff, so I had to get constant lights because, you can't use a flash, and you turn on the little, your light that's in the strobe. It's not powerful, so you're just like, okay, I guess I got to get new lights. So I got new lamps, and so that's what I'm using now. I mean, I got 2 GVM 80 watts. It's all you need. I mean, it's video.
Yeah, I actually got the Godox VL 150s for. I don't have them set up, but I have those for constant light. And if you're looking for constant, I'm not sponsored by Godox, but I have bought into their system, and so these are constant lights that you could get for $300, I think it is, when they're on sale, and the aperture equivalents are, I think, $800. So that's already, you start buying into.
And I say GVM too, because that's the 80 watt version. That's the 120 watt. Now, if you don't have the, what is it, like $200 for that one?
Yeah, like the 300.
Yeah, it's like 300. The GVMs, you can get 2 for 180.
Boom.
And that's 80 watts. And trust me, this is 80 watts. You're looking at it right here. You can actually shoot photography off of these lights.
Absolutely.
And, so I tell a lot of beginners, if you want to get lights for a studio setting, don't go with the little single bulb umbrella, because that is literally going to be, you're going to hate your life after you bought it. It's like $80, or was it like $50, $55 or something like that for that little, it's a light bulb with a umbrella.
E27 within a 7 screw.
Yeah. Those are inconvenient.
And it's like, I know you're thinking money, but that's not that. It just get a lamp and put it there. You get the same light.
Yeah, we get again to the point where investing smart instead of just buying anything.
Exactly.
My first light for video, I just got a socket. I put a bulb on it, and I tie inside my softbox for photography. And of course, it works, but it's not the same. Right now, I use Brazilian brand for constant lights here. I have 2 ATEX.
This is the Yangno.
And I have 2 Yangno, so I have 3 national ones, 3 Brazilian brands, and 2 Yangno 600 LED panels. Yeah, I almost don't use the Yangno.
Can't remember what I just got. I just got these 2 light panels. They're called Pixels. Pixel K80s. And I'll tell you what, they are some awesome lights. Which I was like, okay. They actually sent them to me by mistake and told me I could keep them. So I was like, oh,
nice. But I think you bring up a perfect, point, which is, there's a point where, like, trying to save money becomes, more of a hindrance than it does help your business. Like, you got to know the line. There's a fine line between being cheap and then investing into a system that's cheaper, but that it's good. And I think with anything that you're going to buy into, anything you're going to purchase, you got to do a lot of research and just knowing what is acceptable enough to be like, what's the price range. And then I always try to go to, unless I'm talking about glass, which we already established is super important. Like, if I'm talking lights, if I'm talking like all the other peripheral things that go into my photo business, I'm looking at the middle boundary, because I also don't have unlimited funds to spend, so I allocate it into what's most important, and then the rest I try to buy in that, and not like super expensive, but also like not the cheapest solution.
Yeah, the problem with the cheapest solution too is that there's no value for reselling it. If you try to resell it, you're going to lose a lot of money. So there's no point in it.
So that's the Pixel. I mean, this thing.
Wait, I'm solo you in the screen so people can see it better.
Okay. So that's the one that I got. That's up here on the left. Okay. And this thing is literally down to its 12% brightness right now. And that's 12% brightness. I mean, if we go full, this thing is
you're hitting the stand of our microphone so many times.
I'm sorry. But yeah, so get back to 12 here. But yeah, so at 12, I mean, this thing is bright enough for anybody taking some photos. That's
Absolutely.
one thing that I was amazed at these and how nice they are, because they're literally this big, so you could put them anywhere. And
they even look better built than the young ones.
Oh yeah,
they look more solid.
They're all metal. I mean, that's the one thing I did like about them. And like Jay said, he has the G1S. I looked at those, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna go with the other one. And the other one, I just like it. I don't know why. They're actually a cool light. And I've actually used them in photography because I like taking them, because these have RGB. So I could literally go to any color I want, and I could pump up the volume and get the whole room a color. In fact, I think he saw me when I did that. Made the whole room teal, made the whole room red. I mean, it was just one light, but it lit up the whole thing.
One thing that we were mentioning while you were fixing your set, it's really nice to have another streamer with a set microphone.
Yeah, I know, right?
There is really quality in your image, because usually we bring photographers and they come with the webcam.
Dude, you should come. You should come like every Thursday. We have fun with you.
I think I think that's gonna hopefully start to change, where the more, I think that the work from home solution is, I know the local paper here, like they terminated their lease. Every photographer, every reporter is working from home. And I think the people that, I think at least visual people that, do this for a living, I think everybody's going to ultimately create a set where they do this stuff, because I think, apart from what we do as streamers, like I know at least when I'm in a meeting, there's a level of professionalism that comes with, having good quality audio, having a nice set in the background. So
don't get me started with that audio stuff. I'm still trying to figure that crap out.
Yeah, no, but I think that hopefully,
I ain't gonna lie.
It's something that more and at least visual artists, people that don't do this for a living, they might as well just get the webcam. I have a webcam too, but when I figured out how to use my DSLR, maybe webcams are just going to start getting built better. I don't know how many people before the pandemic actually had a webcam, and I know that they sold out when the pandemic started. So,
you couldn't buy a Logitech C9200. You couldn't buy it. There was no place to buy it, and the prices were just raising up.
Yeah,
it's like bullets. Bullets are freaking ridiculous right now.
Well,
$1.
I'm not personally. Are you talking about gun bullets?
Yeah.
I'm not a gun owner, but I can imagine that being
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy how events impact like the supply and demand of stuff. And I think the pandemic in this case, but one thing that might come out of it is, I think now companies such as Logitech and other companies that build webcams, I think, for such a long time, I don't think they felt the need to like improve the image quality, because I don't know how many people were actually buying into webcams. And I don't know, it's just my prediction, but I think webcams now are going to come in a better package and the quality is going to be much better.
But see, that's the thing is they're going to have to come up with something that's like a 70 millimeter, which it ain't going to happen.
I don't know. I think there's a lot you can do with,
technically they could digitally morph it, I guess.
Yeah.
To make it appear to be something similar to it.
I
The funny part is,
go ahead.
When you work for another company, like a formal company, and you just show up in a meeting with all this stuff on, people look at you and get crazy. Today I went to a meeting where I had the 3 cameras on. I start to change the cameras. People start to get crazy about it.
That's funny.
But yeah, but I agree with you saying. I mean, there's a whole new level now. And, you know, what's nice is that we can have conversations like we're sitting inside of our houses, you know, and like I've got my setup now to where the TV is right behind the camera. So I'm basically look like I'm looking at you while I'm talking to you, you know, and it's like that. I just moved it there because it just seems right that I look like I'm talking to everyone watching. Right. And then he got me on this whole get a better mic and let's make the sound look good. And I mean, I spent the crap load. I got a Shure microphone. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I went all out, but you know, at the same time, it does make a difference, you know, for professionalism.
We live by a rule here.
Go big or go home.
Yeah, if you can, I think, you know, I don't know how the saying goes now, but like you spend like good once and all you got to do is spend that money once. Like it goes back to, I think, our cheap conversation where some things, you know, you can afford to go a little bit cheaper on, but things like glass, things like this type of equipment, it's stuff that merits, I think, spending a little bit more just to have a good mic that is going to last you and is going to sound great, rather than getting, I don't know, something that's $20 and not doing the job. But I think the craziest thing, and what I tell students now that are in college, or, you know, this is so important, and I think we see it with Twitch, but I think it's important to learn how to do all this stuff now. I think the world is more and more, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how this medium is going to change, how the way we interact is going to change. But I think what COVID did is create this new way of interacting and this new outlet. And I think, you know, you have 14, 15, 16-year-olds on Twitch that have the same exact setup. They didn't go to school for photo, they didn't go to school for video, but they know what the hell they're doing. Like, they have a good mic, they have a good camera, and they have a beautiful setup. And so I think you need
they learn through YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's really, YouTube is the new university. I hate to say it, but it's a fact.
Do you see how kids today, like kids for 3-4 years old, they hold a phone and they play with a smartphone? Who taught them? I think in a few years, we're going to see the same with streaming.
I see Judge Dredd in reality. Do you remember Judge Dredd?
No.
Where, I mean, the wall would light up and there's a camera and somebody's talking to them and they're talking to each other or stuff like that. See, I think that's what's going to happen eventually. And when it does, when you have a video screen like right there where you could immediately zap in and talk to somebody, I was like, if you know how to set that up yourself, you don't have to worry about nothing. You know, if you know how to get acoustics right, not bad.
Man, we have a meme here that they are saying that the Jetsons time. I don't know who watched that cartoon. Ron,
the Jetsons?
Yeah. I know about
somebody here.
Yeah.
Somebody here. Working from home, video conferences, talking to the doctor with video conferences. So everything's already here. We just need the cars that fly.
We got that too. I'd say it.
No, we don't yet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we do.
Third world, it takes some time, dude.
But
we got our first color TV back in the 80s. So.
No, but I think skills like these are important to have, and I think the more I always say like realistic in that, like, this is my passion, this is my craft, and I'm always looking at ways of how I can expand that, not only of I know how to take a picture, I can make money taking pictures, but I can also make money doing a plethora of things that involve a camera. And so this is one of them. And I tell students, I'm like, it's cool that you know how to do that. You're a great photographer. Keep doing your photography. It's not that you're substituting one of your passions with another. It's just that you're expanding the ways that you use your craft, that you pursue your passion into different revenue streams. And if you already know how to use your camera and how to set exposure, all you got to do is buy a cable so you can connect it to your computer. And boom, now you have a nice professional setup that you can even like, you can even do consulting for firms. And I know I have plenty of friends that do consulting for firms into how to make better video calls and how to do all these streaming things. And so
I've done it.
Exactly. So if you know how to do all
I've already had like people at my work, I work for the Army still.
Okay.
So, and my day job is technically I work with the Army, and our audio visual guys have asked me, hey, what are you using over there at your house? And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's easy. And, and they're using it now. So it's like, they never know who is going to ask you questions. And the thing is it's about learning your gear. And that's the one thing, like I fought with this mic since when I got it for like 2 weeks, trying to figure out how to make this thing work right. And it's not just a plug and play like they try to tell you, because then, I found out stuff about, gates and all these other little equalizers, expanders, compressors. Yeah, I've learned a lot literally since we started this whole thing. I don't know if he told you, but we started this in 2 hours time. Like we looked at each other and we were like, dude, let's just get on there and just talk, just talk shop. That's all we wanted to do.
Right.
It's kind of like what we're doing now.
Later, we had the name, we had the logo, we had that intro.
Yeah.
We did everything like
like literally in 2 hours.
That's the best way to do it, because you're not thinking about it. You're just like acting
off the cuff, and
man, I was so nervous in the first show.
Yeah, he was. He's like, I don't know English. I said, yeah, you do. Don't worry about it.
Speak English. I don't speak English. Don't do that to me.
But he did. And, and since then, his English got way better. That's one thing I can say. And not just that. We've grown to know each other now. We've only been doing this for what? It was like October, November, December, January, February, March, April. So 7 months. We've almost had our year anniversary.
Nice.
So, it's like since day one, me and him hit it off. We're like brothers. I feel like I've been knowing this dude forever. And we both have the same ideas. We want to get other photographers on here. We're not about us. We're about talking and just getting to know other people that see what their ideas are, how they see things, because we all learn from each other. It's just a fact. It's always been that way. And, I've been doing this for 20 years, but guess what? I still learn. I learned stuff from kids. Hard to believe, but it's true. I've seen some kids do some stuff. I'm like, how'd you do that?
we just wanted to, as I said before, to make it feel like we are sitting in the same room in the couch talking. And
COVID just made it all easier because you had to be sitting at home. So it was like, give us something to do.
Exactly. And I think it's been a similar story for, many of us in that we're trying to find ways of still producing content while being confined. And that's, I think, what's led to this, expansion of content creation from home, and everybody, people that were interested in creating a setup and doing and the only thing that comes from it is all positive, because you're learning about audio, you're learning about using OBS and all these different systems that you didn't know about. And now these are all marketable skill sets that you, whenever you get hired for a contract job or whatever it is, it's like, hey, I can do the photography, but I can also do this. And,
exactly.
and you charge for each one of those services,
Right. Yeah. And not just that. I mean, one, getting comfortable in front of a camera is not easy.
Right.
Oh man, don't tell me that.
Dude, I
My
was
camera
nervous as
starts
hell.
glitching now.
So I kicked my wire. I don't know what your excuse is. But but anyway, but like, being in front of a camera is not an easy task when you first start.
Mm-hmm.
You know it. I mean, all of us did it, right? And
especially
now,
when you are for so much time behind the camera.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I never wanted to be in front of the camera. That was the funniest part, is that I would never get on this side of the camera, right? Mm-hmm. I'd always be on that side. Like everybody would be like, let me take a picture. No, I'm good. But now I don't care. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it's not a matter. You get comfortable, and that's what I like about it. And being able to tell people what I know and then finding out what other people know and be able to try to utilize what other people know. And that's what this whole idea is really about the ecosystem of photographers helping each other and new photographers that are starting off.
Absolutely.
It's, like today was about the gear, and really, if you don't got the money, don't spend it. Once you got your camera in your hand, start shooting natural light. And, once you've saved up to get good gear, that's the one thing that I want people to understand. Get the right gear first, and you don't spend as much money later. It's just a fact. You got 3 photographers right here. And I guarantee you all 3 of us said the same thing.
I have so much money on gear, specific gear that is not, I cannot say it's bad gear, but it's not the right gear, that when I have to change my lights, I'll have to spend a lot of money again.
Okay. Here we go. Consensus. If you had to get one light, what would be your first light?
Get a Godox.
I say it's an AD.
Right now, it would be a 600, because I'm kind of. It's not my first one, but a 400 would be okay. A 300 would be okay.
Right.
I think
Godox. Don't get any other thing.
I think the lighting question is very dependent on the type of photography that you want to do.
Photography, right?
So if you're doing like studio stuff, the 600, the 400. I like to be nimble. Like I like to move around a lot. Like it's just a way I was brought up in this profession. Mm-hmm. So I don't like being constrained by like C stands and sandbags and all these different things. So the 300 is already, like, to me, it's small. Actually, I could bring it up when
it's small, but it's still a little big.
It's small, but it's still a little big. Since I invested in it, I do put it on a C stand. So I took it out and I did some portraits with it, and it was fun because it was like a fun shoot and stuff. But I'm like, I can't take this out on assignment. I would need a speed light on assignment. So I think go ahead.
Now, what about the 8200?
The 8200 is I think is like the perfect combo, right? Like it's like a speed light. No, like I didn't really look into it because and I hope go ahead.
It's both. So it's like a speed light head and it's got a flash bulb head.
Yeah, but is there a way to use over the camera? On camera? I don't think there's a mount for the hot shoe.
Yeah, you can get them out. They make them.
I can look it up.
You can get a ball mount and you can stick it right on top, and it works.
My story as to why I didn't get a speed light is because, and I hope nobody from Profoto is listening, I have somebody at Profoto that is a good friend, and they sent me the A1, the A1 speed light, and I think because of COVID, they just kind of forgot about it, and so I have an A1 in my camera bag, and I don't really use it all that much. I use it like when I go out for an assignment, I like having it with me, but it's there. So I was like, until they ask for it packed.
But it's 75 watts, right?
Yeah, it's like a speed light. It's
like a regular speed light, except it's round.
Right.
Which now Godox makes one.
Yeah, it's called the V1.
Yes, the V1.
Yeah.
So it's like,
well, the day they asked for it, I'll go into the V1. But until then, if I'm going to use if I'm going to do portraits, I'm gonna take my AZ300s. If I'm gonna have it on assignment, I have the A1 in my bag in case I need it.
Sure.
But I think the three of us agree on something. Godox is the way to go right now.
I think in terms of price point and value, it's a good combo, I would say.
And quality, to be honest with you.
Yeah, quality.
I mean, the light quality CRI is the exact same as Godox. I mean, they're literally neck and neck. And then that alters between models. So like one model could be shooting a 98 CRI, but the next one could be shooting a 97. And the same thing goes with Godox. They do the same thing. It's like a 98, 99, 97. It just depends on.
Did I say Profoto or Godox?
You said,
you said Godox. You said that you had
you were working with
because they said it.
No, I
you
had
said
Godox sites. Yeah, okay. If I were to choose one, I would choose Godox, but I do have a Profoto A1. Yeah.
Right. And that's why I'm saying, if you have the money and you got a high level clientele and you want to get the creme de la creme, then sure, go with Profoto.
Yeah.
But to the average photographer, time is money, equipment's money. This, apples to apples, really, those two are almost identical. The new 8600 Pro and the Profoto, I would say there is no difference really.
Yeah, I personally haven't done a test, but from every review that I saw, I spent a month researching lights before I bought into a system because it's like a commitment. Once you buy one light, you're bought into the system. And so I spent a long time, and that was the consensus, right? Like you're getting a comparable product for 3 times less money.
Yep. And I mean, and it's like a Linkochrome, all these other ones that are out there, Bowens, Linkochrome, Manfrotto, all the other stuff. You got all these, but none of them have an ecosystem, a full-on ecosystem, which is the part that that's what pulls me away. Yeah, and if they're watching, this is something you need to think about because honestly, I like to have one remote. And when I got
that's the point. You have two AD200, you have two AD600, and you just use one remote.
And not just that, I got AD200, AD600. I got the speed lights all around. And I can have an 8300. I can have a ring light on my camera.
You can buy any other. Right now, you can buy any other Godox, and you'll be the same stuff.
Yeah, they all use the exact same.
I have the transmitter that only works with that speed light. I had to buy the receiver for all my monolights that are not Yongnuo. And if I buy now, the Yongnuo launched something similar to the AD200. If I buy it, I have to change all my radio system because that radio system doesn't talk with the new one.
Exactly. So, and that's what we're trying to get at with the ecosystem.
And that's where I throw my money in the garbage.
Yeah, for new people getting on, they really should understand that you're going to spend so much more money if you don't stick with one ecosystem and a reliable system. If you go with anything that's not reliable just because it was cheap, think about how much money you're actually going to spend. I could tell you, $216,000.
Dude, I'm
so fast. Yeah, no. Oh my God, it's already been an hour and 20 minutes. Nice.
An hour and 24 minutes.
But yeah, so, that's how I see it. And it's about spending money, but you spend the right money in the right place. So that way it lasts you. I mean, I ain't going to lie with you. I still got one AD600 that has literally lasted me almost 8 years and it's still going. So it's like good gear is not going to die, Piggyback off of the one light question. If you were buying one modifier, which modifier would you get?
That's a hard one.
It's not hard.
That's a hard one.
No. I would get the Easy Lock 32-inch Beauty Dish.
Really?
That if I had one modifier, that'd be the one modifier. Reason being is
5-foot umbrella.
The reason being is it's big enough and small enough to take outside. It has a short throw, right? It comes with the grid. It comes with the inner baffle, outer baffle. It also comes with the center plate to make it into one, and you can pull it out and make it into an octadope. So
yeah,
I would say go with that. And the reason why is, one, it works great outside, inside, everywhere. It's a universal type of light. Now,
again,
if
I almost don't do location. Don't do location.
Now, yours is different.
To me, it would be my 5-foot umbrella.
Okay, but you say that, but what do you use the most?
The 5-foot umbrella.
No, you don't.
These days, the 5-foot umbrella. I use the
Octabox.
You're gonna talk about video. I use 2 Octabox.
No, not video. I'm talking about your last 3 shoes.
I stopped using. I stopped using the Octabox. I'm using the 5-foot umbrella on everything. Everything.
Oh, good.
Since I learned to take to keep the light out of the background, I stopped using the Octabox with the grids.
Yeah, I mean, once you learn square law rule, it's easy.
You, Brian?
I would use the same one, the beauty dish, and I would buy into the Easy Lock system. I actually have all my modifiers are Easy Lock or the I have a 24-inch the one that pops, the Hexapop. And I actually, on my stream, I talked about it the other day. And the reason I like the 33-inch because I'm running and gunning.
And it's light, it's fast.
It's light, it's fast. All you got to do is open it. There's no you don't have to put the sticks into the mount. All you got to do is literally open it, lock it, and done. Especially when I'm doing video, I have a Octabox for video, the deep parabolic one and stuff. And the whole Easy Lock system is just so convenient. And what I said on my stream was, when I'm doing video, especially, I'm doing audio, I'm doing a 2-camera setup, I'm doing all these different, I'm worried about so many things that if I don't have to worry about setting up my modifiers, then it's one less thing I'm worried about. All I got to do is open it. And what I love about these modifiers is just that. When I hadn't gotten all my modifiers yet, so I had the Hexapop. It's 24 inches small, so I had to put it really close to the model. But it was fine because I was just doing chest up portraits, and literally all I had to do is open it, put it, and boom, I get a nice, beautiful, soft light. And what I like about the umbrella and the Octabox is that it does come with a grid. So I have a little bit more control over the fall off, where I want to direct the light. And I was amazed. Before I knew about Easy Lock, and again, this is everything I learned from the research that I did. Every time I go on a shoot, I'd rent the lights, and it was always putting the sticks into the mount, and it was just a pain in the ass. It was just super annoying.
It really is. And then you got to have super strength in order to get that last stupid thing in. You're
exactly.
Chink,
and you're worried about poking your eye out, and it's
see it flying off.
Right, it's super frustrating.
Shooting out the front. It's oh man. So then you got to go stow it.
If it's not the beauty dish, I would go, and it depends on your light system. But now they have the Octabox that goes straight onto the AD 300 and 400 mount, so it doesn't have to be the Bowens mount. It can be the Godox mount, and that one is I really enjoy too because it's even lighter than the beauty dish, and it goes straight onto the mount, so I don't have to carry my S2 bracket. That
S2 bracket is cool.
Yeah, I actually had the whole. I was talking about getting. Let me show you. I have the.
You got the new S2, right?
Yeah. So this is a bracket.
Yep.
And the cool thing about it is that if you have the AD 200, it would go straight in here. But because I had the 300, you take it out, and it fits the 300, and then the 300, it comes in this case.
Right.
And then when you open it, it comes nice with its charger, with its and it's super small. And it's very powerful, which is the best thing.
Yep.
So there it is.
Yeah.
And for comparison, this is an iPhone 11, so it's literally that big.
Right. So now the I don't know because I don't have the 300s, but is that the same as the Profoto's mount that goes on those?
What do you
the rubber mount, the rubber Profoto mount?
I don't know if it fits because it would have to be the size of the light.
Right. I'm just curious.
I don't know. But the S2 mount is for the Bowens. But they sell. I don't know. I think they sell the Profoto mounting adapter because they sell the Bowen. They sell the Profoto and they sell another one.
Electrochrome.
Yep. So I don't have any Profoto modifiers, so I didn't get that one. But I bought into the Bowen system because I read it was like the most standard type of thing, and that's where the Easy Lock comes in. So.
Right. No, I've loved the Easy Lock since they started. I mean, I got their softbox, the 2x3. In fact, that's what's right here. The 2x3 softbox is what I started when they first came out with them. And I just grew with them. So they had that one, then they got the Octabox, and they got the beauty dishes, and I got all those. And, I slowly worked my way up. The other company I like, but the problem is they don't have anything that's like Easy Lock, is I used to love Photodiox. And I still use Photodiox. I mean, they have they're good quality softboxes. My 4 foot by 7 foot softbox.
Tell more about them because they are following us.
Yeah, no, Photodiox has amazing stuff. And, like in the lighting episode that we did, about the traditional lighting, I had a 4 foot by 5 foot softbox, and that's by Photodiox. They're the only ones that make it. No one makes the 4x7 or 4x5 anymore. They used to have 2 different other companies, but I can't find them anywhere.
So
why, it's like, well, it's a huge softbox. So, but it's the best light for classical portraiture. It's literally hands down the number one light source that you can have because it's so big and you get it so soft. Close.
Yeah.
Super soft. I mean, if you watch the episode that we did, I used it for my wife.
Here.
Yeah. Well, wherever.
It's here.
Okay. So, I have never figured that out yet. But the thing is, that's a huge softbox and it takes up a lot of room. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
But it's good. But now I use that because I make a lot of money off classical portraiture. My higher end clients love classic portraiture because of that softness and, how it looks Renaissance-y almost because it's so soft. And I do that for a reason, and it's because that's the style that I know people want. So like purchasing that light box is going to cost you, a good $500. Now will I use that as a beginner? No. Unless that was the only box I get for like 10 years.
That's a good question because Jay asked if we're going to talk about one modifier, which one we're going to buy it. And we answer as already experienced photographers. But for a beginner, what you recommend about price? And
that's what you said it.
Really?
Yeah, for beginner, these are $80 modifiers. I think
the Easy Lock is like what, $65 or $68 or something like that.
They're that cheap?
Yeah, it depends on the size, but all the modifiers I got, none of them were more than $80-$90.
Yeah.
And I think the beauty dish is like $70-$80 by there.
Yeah. And that's the 32 inch, and then they got a 25 inch, I think, also.
Yeah, the smaller the cheaper. Yeah.
Right. And I think that one's like 30 something or 40 something bucks. So, I mean, honestly, the Easy Lock system is the only modifiers you're probably going to need for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, you don't really need much more.
That's like, it's a modifier where you're going to make your money back on your first gig,
Exactly. And then once you start making your money, you start understanding what goods and how much you have left over. You always take 10% of that to go back to new gear.
Mm-hmm.
Until you got enough money to buy the next one, don't do it. Right. I'll be honest with you. You buy one light, one stand, one modifier. That's it. Get used to doing it. And then once you start building the income coming in, and you take that 10% of the income that's coming in and you put that away towards the business, then you can start pulling out in the 2 lights, 3 lights, and you want to move up slow. Now, there are people who want to start out, go big and go home. I don't blame you. I'm the same way. So if you do want to do that, again, stay with an ecosystem. I'll be honest with you. It's about the ecosystem. So if you want to have good lights, and if I needed to get 3 light system, this is what I would get: AD600, one AD600, and 2 AD400s or 300s, one of the two. That's what I would get, and that's only because the AD600 will blast out the sunlight. So if I wanted to do shots outside, I got a setting sun, my AD600 could do it. I'm not worried about it. Other than that,
well, my monolights can do it too. I just need to find a power generator because they don't have batteries.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing about Godox is they're battery powered. They can go out. So, that's one of the big pluses about their system. And they do have, like the V1, and I think they have a V2, that they're all battery powered. So you really have no cords, which is a huge plus. Because I can't tell you how many times people tripped over cords.
The V1 has even a modeling lamp on it.
Yep. So
it's the only speed light that has a modeling lamp.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, your 8200 does.
I think that's a great setup. And I think, it really depends on it always goes back to the type of photography that people want to do. And I would start, with the camera, and I'm like into year 7 of my career, and I'm still trying to find, like, not trying to find, but trying to modify my style and trying to really create a voice. And so until you, and that included adding lights, at this point, but up to this point, because all my work wasn't really studio based or lighting based, I had just a speed light, and I was able to go through. Now I'm thinking back, and I'm like, wow, so many gigs would have been so much easier had I had one off camera flash, and I think back to specific portraits that I could have done better had I had a light. But shit, I got through it, and so.
But even having the speed light, you can get a mag mod and put a mag beam on it and triple the light going out.
Absolutely, and you don't always need to have a lot of the assignments where I wish I had off camera flash. I just put my my speed light on a tripod, and I used it as off camera flash. But again, it would have been the light would have been much nicer had I had a nicer light, a modifier to go with it. And
you know what? Next time you go out, try getting a voice activated light stand. You know what that is, right?
No. Oh, an assistant.
It's a person that's standing there saying, "Hey, can you hold this light right here?" And they would love to. It's funny. They're like, "Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Where you want it?" And let's just point it right at them. Okay. And it's so funny, but they help. They don't. Everybody wants to help with the photographer. It's so funny.
Absolutely.
But when you got the mag beam, it's really cool. So like if you're indoors and you want it dark, but you want just the person, throw that mag beam on there. I'm telling you, it's a pretty cool little piece of gear.
Nice.
And the mag mod system's cheap. I mean, they're like $85 for the base kit. And then you're probably looking at like $60 for the mag beam.
Individually, it's cheap, but lighting as a whole is like a rabbit hole. So you're going, you're talking about a light and the mag.
I know what you mean by that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
so, you know, it really, I think it just for a beginner that's watching this and is like trying to figure it out, I would say get the camera, get the good lens, get one light, and then make it work. You know, a lot of us that are professionals and don't depend on a newspaper to provide us gear, like we work with. I've always been spoiled in that I've always tried to get that second camera just so I don't have to be switching lens. But you know, a lot of us work with one camera and we have the 24-70 to make everything or most things work. And then the light. All you need is one light, one camera, one lens that's a workhorse like the 24-70, and you can kickstart your career. And then you start figuring out what you like to photograph, what you like to do, because you know, if you want to go into sports, then you're talking about a $12,000 400-8 lens, you know? So it really depends on how you want to allocate your money and what type of photography you want to do. But the basis, I think it's what we covered today, which is the camera, the lens, and one light, and the reflector, and your money. You know, that's
and your gray card.
And your gray card, your $7 gray card.
So you don't have to spend, you don't need a $200 or $1,200 light meter to get the reading.
Absolutely, and I mean, after you spend like $2,200 on a lens, $7 on a gray card is peanuts, right? But I think that's a perfect start, and you can do so many assignments, so many different types of work with just that simple kit setup. Now it's going to cost you if you want to, if it's three things. It's going to cost you if you want to buy the super high-end stuff, but you don't necessarily have to.
No. And that's what we were getting at with Godox. I mean, you can get a speed light from Godox or the V1 from Godox. And that's
I'll have to call Godox tomorrow and then ask for some kind of gift because we said that name so many times in this life.
I don't care. I mean, I promote what I like and I know works. Like, I'm not getting paid by them for saying this. This is just what I know I use. And I mean, everything I have has it. When it comes to the speedlights. Now, like you said, you know, if I'm mixing video with photography, you know, maybe even having one constant light can work. You know, I mean, like we already proven there's two right here, the Pixel and the GVM. You know, they're both bright enough. You got the Godox SL100s or 120, I think. And those are plenty bright enough to get some photos done. So, you know, that's a cheaper option than going with flashes. So,
and you do a lot of mixing lights. You do a lot of mixing lights with Fresnels and strobes at the same time.
Fresnel right there. So, yeah. And so, you know, that's the thing is, you know, you build yourself up and you learn each piece as you build it. And that's the thing that I think a lot of beginners try to jump is they don't want to learn each piece as they build it. You know, so now the tool isn't as useful as what it could be. And I think, you know, I told a lot of students that too, because a lot of them are like, well, I just need this. I just need that. I said, really, you don't. I said, in most cases, all you need is your camera. I said, now, depending on if it's dark or not, then yeah, you may need it. But you know, in most cases, the cameras today can go all the way till twilight.
I give kind of a hard time to beginners. Oh, I need this lens. Why?
I don't. I mean,
just explain to me why you do need it.
If they got the money,
if you have a good reason, I'll tell buy it.
You know, I tell them, put your money in marketing. You can be the worst photographer in the world, and if you have good marketing, you're going to win.
Yeah. Definitely today's digital era where you can have your name out in, if you know SEO and you know all that type of stuff, and people type in photographer Miami and your name is the first one to come up, there's a good chance, you know. Marketing, it's interesting you bring up that point because marketing is one thing that I wish I would have at least taking a couple courses on while I was in college, and not because I'm a bad photographer, but rather because if you have the skill set, even if you're the best photographer in the world, if nobody knows who you are, or if you can't get your name out there,
if no one knows who you are, you will never get business.
Right. So I think, you have to have the skill to retain business and to be able to even like get referrals and get your name out there. But a lot of it is just like, how do you stay relevant, and how does your name come up, and how are you able to make sure that people are seeing the great images that you're creating? So
exactly. Like I like to go to events, I'll go to, I do a lot of work with plastic surgeons, right? Well, with the plastic surgeons clients, I should say. And when I go to their little outings, I mean, they got high-end clientele all the way around, Now, you make someone high-end like you, they're going to talk to their friends about who you are when you walk in, And it's cool because then it opens up a pretty good conversation, because most people are like, oh, you're a photographer. You must be a good one if you're here. It's like, nah, I'm just another photographer. And it starts to joke, but at the same time, they know that if I'm there, I'm probably not just some schmuck,
Right.
So it's getting in with those circles that also help, and understanding who you're around. So if you're around people who are, mediocre or even sketchy, pretty sure you're going to have the same look or perception by other people. And I try telling a lot of the students that, and some get it, some don't, and it's like, you dress the part that you want to attract. It's just that simple. So even in marketing, you're going to market to who you want to attract. That's it, and
you need a persona. You need a persona.
Right. Well, you need a reputation. And if you ruin your reputation from the beginning, you've ruined it for life, honestly. I mean, it's hard to recover, but you can. But there'll always be those people that know the stigma. And you don't want that stigma put on your head. So marketing is where you get people to know who you are, and it gets people in the door, so to speak. But then once they get in the door, you better know your stuff. And at the same time, you better also know how to present and sell.
Right.
And give a great experience all at the same time. And yeah, that comes with experience. So, but don't be the person that just picked up a camera on Christmas Eve and tried January 1st to open up a business. I don't know how many times I've seen that cause failure, like really quick.
Yeah, you need to build a portfolio and kind of get comfortable in what you're doing.
Do like you. Go to a newspaper and say, hey, I'm open to help. I'll go to one of the high school football games and I'll shoot. And, they'll pay you, I think it's like $100 maybe.
Yeah. I would recommend it. I would recommend it as a beginner, not as a professional.
Well, I mean, even as a beginner, they're looking for people to do it. And nobody that does it professionally is going to do it anymore.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Like if you're a professional, don't do that. But if you're a beginner and this is not like the way you're going to make your living just yet, then that's definitely a good plan.
Exactly. And I have all my students, like I think about 6 of my students, they go to like all the different high school football games. And they go to all the high school, just different games, right? Because they all play every sport. Well, they like get together and they go, okay, I'm going to this sport. You go to that sport. You go to this sport. You go to this sport. And then they all break off. And then they'll go shoot them. And they'll go over to the local thing and say, hey, we got these. And, it's almost like a game of who can get them to buy it. And it's awesome.
I did. I shot foot races on the street. Yeah, and I saw the pictures.
Exactly. And and here, the newspaper needs an image. They just don't know where they're going to get it from. But if they're there, they can bring it to them quick.
Right.
You know, and once don't get me wrong, I've worked with some of the news people guys, so I've gotten to know them pretty well. And now they're acceptive to give them each locations to go to, which is great. Mm-hmm. And, you know, but at the same time, anybody could do this. I mean, there's so much things going on that they don't have enough people to actually go around and capture them.
Right.
And everything could be a story. Problem is, you got to have somebody there to make the story. So if you're beginning and you're just getting your feet wet and you want to really try to build a portfolio, this is the best way, is help out the newspaper. I mean, you'll make like $50, $25, $100, whatever it is they're going to pay for that assignment. But it gets you in the door and it gets you shooting and thinking, because especially in your area, you have to think fast. Absolutely, you know, and I think a lot of people don't realize how fast you have to think when you're shooting assignment. And I know that because I did it. I did it all through high school and part of into college. And I mean, incidents happen fast. And if you're not shooting quick and you're adjusting on the fly, you can kind of screw yourself.
Right.
But, you know, but at the same time, that's the best way to learn. It forces you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, you can get some really amazing shots, have some really good stuff, you know, post them on Instagram. Hey, look, my first assignment. Woo. Everybody will be like, oh, great. Look at that. Look, you look awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because nobody likes to downgrade anybody. Everybody likes to praise people. I mean, now, if you're playing the stock market, yeah, they're going to tell you can't do that. You'll lose every day. But at the same time, you know, those praises, the small stepping stones, will lead them to greater things because there's senses of achievement every step. And that's the thing that a lot of beginners don't get, is the fact that it takes baby steps to get to crawling, to get to running, you know. And I mean, you've been doing it how long?
2014, so like 7 years.
See, so, and in 7 years now, you're finally running around, right? I mean, you're kind of like at a good point in your career.
Yeah, it takes time for sure.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of the beginners, I find that the generation today is like, I want it now. I don't want it tomorrow. I want it now. You know, and it's like, yeah, you have to work at it. It's not gonna be something you're gonna pick up.
I think social media plays a part in like the instant gratification part of.
I agree.
And even as a professional, like sometimes like you'll post an image on Instagram and you're like, yo, this was, or you think it's a good image, and it's like, why isn't it getting like? So it's hard to, you know, kind of I think you have to, but it's hard to put like some of that instant gratification things aside and like understand too why you're taking certain images. Like, it might be for a client, it might be because the story is important, and even though you didn't get the feedback you wanted on your social media accounts, you got the story out, which is, you know, obviously is more important than any other social media.
And it doesn't matter who sees it, somebody likes it.
Yeah, absolutely. You do want more people to see it and to like it than not, but I understand. It's like when you're teaching, right? As long as you change somebody's, you know, or you teach somebody and they learn something new, as long as it's one person, like you've already created change, right? I think it's similar in images, although you always strive for it to be more people than not, you know.
Now, another thing is with these younger students is that I've noticed that all of them learn very quickly.
Yeah.
Which is great. And I love it. I love that they're sponges, and I'm glad I'm able to show them. Now, the thing is that they try to do too much too quick. They don't master one thing. They try to bounce from here to here to here to here to here to here. It's like, stay right here. Focus on, what the heck? Focus on one thing and master that one thing. Like lighting is not something you're just going to go, oh, I can do it. I go to the next one. You know, lighting changes no matter what you're using. Color makes a whole change. intensity of light changes. I mean, 1 inch at a time can make a change. And they don't realize how much time and a lot of them have seen me do it with them, where I would sit there, take the light and go 1 inch and have them take the shot, 1 inch, take the shot. And I'd show them using multiple layers, and I'd fade the layer down. They could see the shadow as it's fading down. And they can see that shadow move just a little bit more, a little bit more. And I proved to them that they can actually turn human skin gray by a certain angle. A lot of people don't know that.
I hate to bother you, but we're almost 2 hours live, and it's already late in Brazil, and tomorrow I have to wake up pretty early.
Do you all ever do you speak Portuguese?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Não, he knows
Tem que aprender a falar.
Tem que aprender a falar português, pô. He has some advantage because
I know oi.
He knows oi, yeah. And I taught him e aí.
E aí, tudo bem?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm the dumb one in that part, but
nice.
But yes. So yeah, we're at 2 hours, so we'll go ahead and cut now. But dude, come on again.
Yeah, thanks for having me today. It was
dude. And if I come down to Miami, I have to look you up.
The door is open for you here anytime you want to join, man. Every Thursday, 6 p.m. CST. The door is open. You just text me, I send you the link, and you join us for sure. For another show.
Thank you. Even if I'm not tuning in, I'll be even if I'm not on the show, I'll be tuning in. So
that's cool.
Thank you for the space and
I just think it's fun just to sit and chat about stuff.
Yeah.
So that way everybody can see what we see, and that's really what we're doing.
And I'll bring once more his Twitch.
Thank you.
Twitch TV, Cerejo Media, and his Instagram. Brian with an Y, Cerejo.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. And we appreciate you coming in because, I mean, we have a show.
It was really fun.
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
It was really fun.
Me as well. Thank you.
I always like street photography. I think you're the second street photographer we had now.
Nice.
Isn't it?
What?
Because he's the second street photographer that we've had now.
No.
Yeah. What's his name as a street photographer?
Renato?
Renato.
Yeah, both of them are photojournalists.
Right.
But I think that does a sports, only Brian.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Renato doesn't do sports.
Hands down. I'm just saying it's too street now. I'm like, a lot of people like street. I mean, we could probably even do a whole episode on street photography that you could run. Because I know the beginner group that we have, they've all been asking about street photography. And I'm like, I don't do street photography.
You guys to do some street photography around Brazil to show here.
Right.
For that episode.
Yeah, there you go.
Just let's do it.
Whenever you go out to Brazil next time,
we'll photograph together. Yeah. Nice. Well,
maybe I might take a trip.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for Rome here.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for you to come to Alabama.
Not with the dollar at the rate it is right now. I'm sorry.
Anyway, yeah, it was great having you.
Thank you.
Everybody watching, thank you for joining us. I know this was a long one, but it was well worth it. I mean, we got a lot of information out, hopefully somebody learned something.
Yeah. All links to Brian's social media will be in the description by tomorrow morning. And this video will be also on our audio podcast. So Versace Studios International, just look for it.
You can also go on Facebook.
Yeah. Again, Brian, thank you. Rome.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Yep. Y'all have a good night. Good night.
Bye-bye.